George's mind has conjured up visions of a mysterious young girl. In one of the most vivid, the girl is with an older woman, perhaps her grandmother. In all of George's visions, neither the time nor the place is familiar.
There's a lot of sensation. I feel the cold. I feel the night. I smell the horses. I smell the leather. I can feel the girl, but it feels like myself climbing on this carriage and going down the road, and I can hear the sound of horses' hoofs. I can feel the movement of the carriage.
Georgia Rudolph is a 41-year-old registered nurse living in Macon, Georgia. Since childhood, she has been beset by recurring mental images. Sometimes they appear as dreams, more often as memories of events she has never experienced.
There never seemed to be a common denominator of what would trigger off the memories. I would be sitting playing, or I would be watching TV, and just there would be a memory. As a child, I don't think there was a month that went by that I didn't have either memories or dreams.
Georgia Rudolph was born in Columbus, Ohio. At the age of 3, she was placed in a series of foster homes. When she was 5, Georgia was adopted, and the memories began.
As a little girl, I was different. I used to draw the picture of this girl, and I would just do stacks after stacks after stacks of this picture. I also drawn a picture of a house since I was 5, and then the house would go with the girl. And if I didn't get her right, I would erase her or tear it up and start all over again. I knew exactly how this girl was supposed to look. My whole childhood, I thought I was crazy because the drawings were of the girl that I would dream about. And when I remember her, it's always the drawing, the face. I have always known that face. I've seen her 2 different ages. One is a young woman, 18, 19 years old. And as a young girl, probably 8, 9.
As Georgia grew older, her impressions of the past began to accumulate. Often they were no more than the flash of an image. But curiously, all the images seemed to come from an earlier time, a time around the turn of the century. There were no automobiles or airplanes, but there were repeated images of old-fashioned stern wheels, which Georgia in her lifetime had never seen.
It's not like a childhood memory. It feels different. It's like a picture from my mind, projecting it on a screen and just replaying it over and over.
A river seemed to play a large part in Georgia's dreams. Another constant was a young man dressed in a brown suit and wearing a derby hat. Sometimes he was alone, sometimes he was with the girl, and always there was a recurring image of the horse-drawn carriage on a cold winter night.
I kept feeling that there were memories of pre-adoption that nobody would tell me about. The But when I found my biological parents, I found that the memories had nothing to do with my life before I was adopted.
When Georgia first contacted me, I felt it might be something like an early traumatic childhood memory that she was trying to remember or re-experience. Or possibly it could be an aspect of a multiple personality where she was imagining herself or experiencing herself to be someone different, which sometimes happens in these cases. Other than that, the reincarnation was probably the last thing in my mind about what had happened to her. So we're going to go through a procedure this evening that...
Dr. Douglas Smith is deputy director of a mental health center in Macon, Georgia. In 1984, he began regressive hypnosis therapy with Georgia Rudolph. It is a type of analysis that lets the patient go back in time under hypnosis, but still remember everything she says.
And let it out very slowly.
Last December, we asked Georgia to once again undergo hypnosis with Dr. Smith.
And relaxed and at ease. Try to allow all the tension to leave your body.
During the first session of hypnosis, he asked me a question and referred to me as Georgia. I remember very vividly saying, "I don't know who you're talking to." And he said, "Well, if this isn't Georgia, then who is it?" And I remember saying, "My name is Sandra Jean Jenkins."
And what year were you born, Sandra?
1895.
Do you have a boyfriend?
Yes.
Georgia seems to me a very down-to-earth person. She doesn't go around reading a lot of psychic magazines and esoteric material. So I think that she's a very stable individual, and it surprised me when she came out with the amount of emotion and affect and details that she did under hypnosis.
The sensation that I had when I gave her name, her age, and said I was born in 1895 is one that I will never forget, because I felt like my head was going to come off of my body. It hurt so bad.
Look down at yourself and tell me what you look like.
I have brown hair. My eyes are brown.
Georgia came to believe that the face she had drawn so many times as a child was the face of Sandra Jean Jenkins, who was also the girl in her memories and dreams. Further therapy sessions began to give detail to her images. Georgia could now clearly see Sandra Jean on a sternwheeler, which apparently belonged to her family. One of the men on the boat was the young man in the derby hat whom she'd seen so often. His name was Tommy Hicks. He and Sandra Jean were sweethearts. The sessions also revealed that the two of them were about to be married.
When this came out about Sandra Jean, not only I feel I was crazy, it scared me to death. It went against everything that I have ever been taught as far as religion goes.
She is very sincere in her belief that she actually subjectively experienced all the things that she has experienced in that past life that she described. She's not faking or pretending. It is a real experience for her.
Were the images that had haunted Georgia Rudolph for more than 30 years evidence of reincarnation? When we return, Georgia travels 500 miles from home and finds unexplainable coincidences between her dreams and the life of Sandra Jean Jenkins. For 33 years, Georgia's mind has conjured up visions of a mysterious young girl. In one of the most vivid, the girl is with an older woman, perhaps her grandmother. In all of Georgia's visions, neither the time nor the place is familiar.
There's a lot of sensation. I feel the cold. I feel the night.